Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, August 8th. Looking at our main conditions, heat continues region-wide, breezy, dry conditions the next few days. Thunderstorms initially on the drier side are expected again today in the south, but they'll spread northward in the coming days. Fire danger remains very high region-wide, extremely dry fuels. You can see our impact map for today. We have the breezy conditions in the north, thunderstorms pushing up from the south, the smoke a mainstay the next couple of days, although it could mix out a little bit and go a bit further northwards as we get more moisture in the south. You see the gradual expansion of thunderstorms northward the next couple of days, but they start becoming a little bit more isolated as we go towards Monday. This monsoonal push really starting to peter out. We'll have to watch some breezy winds here in the north again and into the Sierra. Satellite imagery shows a lot of that smoke, also a lot of that mid-level moisture coming in with the leading edge of that monsoon. So we will see thunderstorms firing up in a lot of these areas again today. Did have that lightning in the south. You can see quite a few strikes, and it was a mix of drier to wetter depending on where you were. So I would say maybe half the strikes were maybe capable of producing some ignitions, but very dry, and that's the problem. The probability of ignition very high. Other than the precipitation down south, bone dry the last couple of days. So quite a few new starts in the last 24 hours, a lot of it lightning induced in the south, and just very dry conditions in the north along with our large fires. And yes, we are at PL5, both regionally and nationally. Our ERC point map is extremely dry. The purple in 97th percentile to record levels. The reds are more in that 90th, 97th. A few stations that did get some wetting rains and wetted down here in the in the south. Overall map, high pressure near the four corners, again pushing in some of that monsoonal moisture, but there's more area in the black than in the green. When you see a solid swath of green, that's deep moisture, and it's not quite as deep, but scattered areas coming through. But then you see drier air pushing in by Sunday and Monday into northern and even central areas. But we'll continue seeing on the 7-day high risk for lightning in the south, except for the far south where there'll be a bit more moistening. We're watching the Sierra as well the next 2 days before the lightning. So from west to east, from the Sierra to the Colorado border, in the north, those marginal breezes of 20 to 30 miles an hour, along with very low humidity, was posing a problem for our existing fires as well. And again, that lightning threat pushes a bit further northward. We'll see some winds in the Sierra after a couple of days of lightning. So a lot on the plate here in the next couple of days. On the deeper dive for the winds and humidity, you see the breezes in the north, those dark greens and orange day to day, getting stronger over the Sierra on Monday. It'll be problematic if they get some lightning through there. You can see how dry the humidities are day to day, although starting to come up a little bit in the far south, closer to 20% minimum humidity, but single digits to mid-teens further north. Let's just skip back. Daytime temperatures today, again, several degrees hotter than our midsummer normals, and maybe dropping off a degree or so in some areas tomorrow, but still very similar hot day. You see the precipitation today. These grayish areas, just a couple of hundredths of an inch, so not very wet, although there'll be some wetter cores of a tenth or a quarter inch today and maybe tomorrow, expanding further northwards towards the I-80 corridor, maybe a little bit north of there. And you see kind of in the north here falling apart a little bit, but a deeper push is gathering steam down in northern and central Arizona, and that's going to make its push later on. Speaking of later on, as we go into Tuesday, you see that monsoonal moisture starts deepening a little bit more as the high shifts a little bit further east. So we get a little bit more of that return flow. So we'll get some more moisture briefly, but then another short wave drops down and brings some drying to our western and northern areas. So overall, some concerns for lightning maybe later on here. There's a hint of a bit of moisture. We'll see how that all plays out in later in the period. But by and large, we moisten up, but not as much as we obviously could. Again, winds probably not as much of a factor in the next couple of days, although still remaining a little breezy, maybe 15 to 25 mile-an-hour winds up in Idaho. The humidities still dry, modifying just a little bit by a few percent as we go through the period, and actually quite high in southern and eastern Utah as next push of monsoonal moisture pushes through. And you see day-to-day precipitation a bit more of that greenish and bluish shade with that next surge of moisture, but then it continues petering out a little bit on Wednesday. We'll watch another surge by Thursday, and there'll also be some lightning in the Sierra with this next surge. So they've been very dry the last couple of days. I think the first day of lightning could pose some ignition problems. So summing things up, got high risk in a lot of days. You pick your day, you pick your high risk, and you've got it. The extended outlook, we are showing for a large-scale, more moist pattern. I think just a continuation of what we're seeing, but maybe not as much rainfall as this map might indicate. That concludes our briefing. Have a great day.